Fantasy Philosophers is brought to you by fantasy-info.com.
Our latest PPR mock draft went 15 rounds, and we have our broken down in just different Excel spreadsheets here for quarterbacks, running backs, receivers, and tight ends. This particular one we're going to be looking at here is for tight ends. I've been saying with some of the different types of leagues, standard snake draft, PPR snake draft, or auction leagues, look at Dallas Clark. I've seen him, and even in the ones I haven't partaken in that I've just noticed and looked at, Dallas Clark tends to be the number one tight end that's going in a lot of leagues. So that's something to keep in mind there. In this particular one, he went in the third round, so PPR, obviously he had those 100 receptions last year. I don't expect him to have those kind of numbers. I think that was definitely a career year in my mind for 100 receptions. I think, 10 touchdowns that he had. You never know. There could be another year where he does get around double-digit touchdowns, but traditionally he has, I think one year actually I should say, I think he did have 11 touchdowns, so he can do those type of things. He's done it before, but the 100 catches I believe would definitely be a career high for him. Look for guys like Pierre Garçon, Austin Collie. They're going to continue to mature, and even in Anthony Gonzalez coming back, the ball should get spread out a little bit more from Manning as he starts to trust some of those other targets a little bit more. Other guys to keep in mind, I've seen Vernon Davis in the PPR league I did, and even in the standard league that I did. He went in the 5th round, so that's a pretty decent value for Vernon. I think he's getting kind of pulled back a little bit because he had been a failure up till last season, and then he had a great season. If he can put together another great season, then he very well may be the number one fantasy tight end coming into next year. I think he very well may be the number one this year. And if Antonio Gates is slowed by his, maybe a foot injury or whatever they're saying it might be, if we're seeing that in August, then on our boards, we may move Vernon Davis up to be the number one fantasy tight end for you to take this year. But it looks like right now you can get him at a good value. Again, a lot of people are looking to take a guy like Dallas Clark and Gates. They're taking those guys in front of him. We also have a few tight ends. I noticed, I think in both of my drafts, I saw Heath Miller. He wasn't selected on both, if I'm not mistaken, in standard and in PPR. I believe he was in our auction. But there's a name that I think just because the Steelers with Ben Roethlisberger going down for at least the first 4 games this season, obviously with his suspension and them running the ball more, a lot of Steeler players are kind of dropping down, especially in the passing game. Rashard Mendenhall seems like he's a perennial number 1 pick right now in a lot of mocks. But other than that, a lot of guys are starting to suffer. This one, John Carlson didn't even get taken, and in our standard league one that we went through, he was a 14th round pick. So there's another tight end. I really like John. I think we have him around the 6th best tight end for you to take. So obviously, this is a guy that you want to look at for a really nice value this year. And I think it's going to be rather consistent. I think a lot of people don't really trust Seattle, and they don't maybe pay attention to a couple of the things that are going on with John that could allow him to have success. The Seahawks have brought in a really good blocking tight end so that he has more opportunities to go out in the passing game and do that, go out in that way. I do believe he's ready to take it to the next next level. So look for that guy as a really cheap option that could give you really nice production throughout the year. And once again, we just want to let you know that if you're listening to this out there on the internet, maybe on YouTube for a video, we've got this, what we're talking about here, available for you. There's a link. It should be a link at the bottom of where this video is at, right underneath the text. And you can click on that link. You can go over and you can download this information that we're talking about. You can print it out for yourself to use at your draft. We have that available for you. And if you're also listening to this on a podcast, maybe like Podbean, Mepedia, any one of those, Blueberry, any of those type of places, that should also be incorporated. There should be an article with this as well, and there should be some type of link there for you to get back to the specific page that we're talking about for this cheat sheet or mock draft that we happen to be talking to you about right now. Good luck this season, and we hope that this information helps you have success.
For more fantasy football information, go to fantasy-info.com and sign up for our free e-newsletter. Good luck in your 2010 Fantasy Football League. As an added bonus, the Fantasy Info guys will include their 5 secret tips for success in fantasy football.